Alright, Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all honor, glory, and praise unto our Heavenly Father and His only begotten Son, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to my apostles and elders, of great millstone, and taught me this truth, and peace and salutations to the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel, which is constituted by you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native and Seminole Indians, West Indians, and Haitians, as well as you Israelite foreigners scattered abroad. I'm the brother Shamaria back with another lesson. Okay, and this is going to be a continuation of the previous two lessons titled Ptolemaius and Antiochus, Tracing Eve's Wickedness. All right. And quick recap, in the previous two lessons, we discussed how you had Alexander the Great, which came into power, all right, and ruled over the Greek Empire, okay? And at the time of his death, okay, you had his four generals, which came into power and parted his kingdom amongst themselves, okay? And of them were Seleucus, Ptolemaius, Cassander, and Lysimachus, okay? And our main focus is, the Ptolemaic dynasty in the Seleucid Empire, okay? Which through the Ptolemaic dynasty, you had the Ptolemies, all right? And through Seleucus, Seleucids, all right, including Antiochus, all right. Now, the names Antiochus and Ptolemaius, which there are many, all right, that name is carried out throughout their lineages, all right. So what I want to do with this lesson pretty much is go into more info on Ptolemaius and Antiochus, all right. And I'm gonna be jumping through First and Second Maccabees. Well, I'm gonna read First and Second Maccabees. First Maccabees, the first chapter, a little bit of the second chapter. And I'm gonna kind of jump between the first and second books of Maccabees, okay? And as well as give some commentary from the Josephus as well, all right? But without further ado, this is First Maccabees, chapter 1 from the top. It says, "And it happened after Alexander, son of Philip, the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Kittim, had smitten Darius, king of the Persians and Medes, that he reigned in his stead first over Greece, okay, and made many wars and won many strongholds and slew the kings of the earth, and went through to the ends of the earth and took spoils of many nations, insomuch that the earth was quiet before him. Whereupon he was exalted and his heart was lifted up." All right. It says, and he made many wars and won many strongholds and slew the kings of the earth, man. It's a lot. Continuing. Verse 3 again, "And he went through to the ends of the earth and took spoils of many nations, insomuch that the earth was quiet before him, whereupon he was exalted and his heart was lifted up," man. All right. So, Alexander, when he came into power, he was taking down many people, all right, and he was doing it at such a high rate that the earth was quiet before him, all right, and there's various documentaries out there that speak on his war strategy, all right, his military might, should you say, battle formations, and the velocity in which he fought, all right, because ultimately why the spirit of the Lord was actually on the Greeks to fulfill prophecy, man. When it talks about the he-goat and the leopard, all right, which are metaphors and parables which succeed in interpreting Alexander, all right, in the Apocrypha, of course, giving further understanding and veracity, all right, but continuing, it says, "And he gathered a mighty strong host and ruled over countries and nations and kings who became tributaries unto him. All right. And after these things, he fell sick and perceived that he should die. Right. Because, you know, Alexandros, all right, was a homosexual, man, a flaming Mo. And, you know, it shows you in that film, it's called Alexander, all right, directed by Oliver Stone. Okay, and it shows you how, you know, Esau was getting down. You know, they you know, they were having reveling parties and you know, doing all kinds of shit, man. You know, typical Edomite behavior. The same things they're doing today, man. You know, but oh, another point I should make. You know, what's his name? Anthony Hopkins, I believe. He's the narrator in the film, okay, and he actually portrays Ptolemaius the First Soter. All right. Let me see if I can 1 second. That's let me see, Anthony Hopkins. Alexander. There he is. See? Ptolemy the First. All right. If you haven't seen that movie, man, you gotta see it. You know, it's good to go into historical movies. You know, the apostles talk about that. All right, but Salakia, where am I at here? All right, so it says, and after these things he fell sick and perceived that he should die, man. And supposedly, all right, you know, Alexander, he died from an STD as rumored, all right, syphilis, all right. You know, so he came in power at pretty much a relatively fast rate, man. And only reigned 12 years, I believe, okay, from, I believe, 336 BC to 323 BC, all right? So within that 12-year span was all he ruled, okay? And after that, after his rule, you know, he died. And what else? As we read on, it says, wherefore he called his servants, such as were honorable, and such had been brought up with him from his youth, and parted his kingdom among them while he was yet alive. So, you know, Alexander had an order, man, between these four generals. It was, again, Ptolemaius, Seleucus, Lysimachus, and Cassander, all right? And he gave them all instruction, man, okay? And they followed his instruction up until he departed, all right? You know, died, all right? You know, Alexander beforehand instructed them to rule his kingdom, all right? So it says, verse 7, so Alexander reigned 12 years, and then he died, okay? Now I want to go to the Josephus. Let me just... Antiquities of the Jews, book 12. Let me find where I'm at here. Damn, Slovakia. Well, I'll just read it off screen for the sake of time. Yeah, Slovakia, bro. I was in something else. But it says right here, this is from Antiquities of the Jews, book 12, Flavius Josephus. This is now when Alexander, king of Macedon, had put an end to the dominion of the Persians and had settled the affairs in Judea. After the aforementioned manner, he ended his life, okay? And his government fell upon many. Antigonus obtained Asia, Seleucus, Babylon, and of the other nations which were there. Lysimachus governed the Hellespont, and Cassander possessed Macedonia. as did Ptolemaius, the son of Lagus, seize upon Egypt. Okay, and while these princes ambitiously strove one against another, everyone for their own principality, it came to pass that there were continual wars, those lasting wars too. Okay, in the cities were sufferers and lost a great many of Ptolemy, the son of Lagus. Okay, underwent the reverse of that denomination's savior, right? Which his title was Ptolemaius Soter, all right? Which Soter in Greek is savior, all right? Which he then had. He also seized upon Jerusalem, and for that he made use of deceit and treachery. Keep that in mind, because that's a recurring theme, dealing with Esau, Edom throughout Maccabees, all right? For as he came into the city on a Sabbath day, as if he would offer sacrifices, he, without any trouble, gained the city, while the Jews did not oppose him, for they did not suspect him to be their enemy. He gained it thus, because they were free of suspicion of him, and because on that day they were at rest and quietness, and when he had gained it, he ruled over it in a cool manner. Right, man. It was the Sabbath, I believe. All right. He came in on the Sabbath day, with the bullshit. All right. But let's go back. First Maccabees 1-7. Verse 8, it says, "And his servants bare rule everyone in his place. And after his death, they all put crowns upon themselves. So did their sons after them many years, and evils were multiplied in the earth." Right, and their sons warred after each other many years, men. All right. Verse 10, "And there came out of them a wicked root, Antiochus, surnamed Epiphanes, the son of Antiochus the king, who had been hostage at Rome. And he reigned in the 130th and 7th year of the kingdom of the Greeks." Okay. So it says evils were multiplied in the earth because the wicked were in rule, man. Esau, Edom, all right, that vile man. Okay. And when the Babylonians ruled, they were wicked. All right. The Persians and Medes, they were wicked. All right. But none of them outdid Greece. All right. And Esau. Okay. Scriptures call Esau the borderline of wickedness, man. But things were starting to get worse, and when they were in power, people had to fall to what they had going on, including our people, man, and throughout every other captivity, all right, which they're all documented, this captivity being the only captivity where we completely lost our identity, man. We were completely stripped of our identity, and throughout the other captivities, we actually knew we were Israelites. You see, but real quick, or let's read on. It says, "And there came out of them a wicked root, Antiochus, surnamed Epiphanes, son of Antiochus the king, who had been hostage at Rome. And he reigned in the 130th and 7th year of the kingdom of the Greeks." And it's important to go through the Maccabees, man, because, you read about this whole history in Daniel 11, okay, in the book of Daniel, well, at least a good portion, okay, but it says, "In those days went there out of Israel wicked men, who persuaded many, saying, Let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us, for since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow." Okay, so they were basically saying, since we tried to separate ourselves from the heathen, we've been catching nothing but hell, man. All right, so why don't we just form a government with the Slovakia, form a or a pact or like a covenant with these people so we can be good, pretty much, the you see the other Israelite camps, pretty much doing the same thing today, man. They're going to make covenants with the heathen to be comfortable in this fucking hell, man. Excuse my French. But that's why they got their 501c3 charters, man. And you got the actual men of the Lord, okay, on the other hand, that are willing to die for this truth, man, and for the promises that were made. All right. But this is, let's see, Sirach 12 and 10 to make a point. It's like it. It says, never trust thine enemy, for like his iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. Okay. It says, though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him, and thou shalt be unto him as if thou hadst wiped a looking glass, and thou shalt know that his rust had not altogether been wiped away. All right. So, you always had sellouts in every kingdom, man. All right. You always had prophets in every kingdom. Okay. And, when you sell your people out, more people get hurt than when it would have been, in the first place. And you got a lot of sellouts amongst Israel during this time, man. All right. But, and it goes, just like the account with Eleazar, when they was trying to get him to offer up lawful meat and act like it was pork. All right. You didn't do it for integrity's sake, man. Okay. And the reason why I like the book of Maccabees in particular is because, you had men of Israel that held fast to their integrity, man, and were willing to even die for the law of our forefathers, man. All right. And not sell out like you had wicked Jake, man, just, making covenants with the heathen, man. All right. Which, amongst other things, is a transgression of the law. All right. But, what was I going to say? Slovakia. There was another point I wanted to make, though. Let me just check. Slovakia. Bear with me, though. I'm looking for something. It'll come up later, Slocky bros. But continuing, I guess I should go back to but yeah, like I was saying, you had Eleazar, you had men like Eleazar, all right, that would hold on to their integrity, all right, for truth's sake, okay, and understood, their leadership and their role, okay, and their reputation amongst Israel, all right, that acted accordingly and stood up, man, all right. Just like today, you have men that are raising up in the spirit, all right. But let's go to and when you make a covenant with the heathen, it's only temporal, because the heathen hates you, all right. As being an Israelite, the heathen despise you, okay, and they just need you to do their will, okay. And our people have always fell for it, got your sellouts. All right, just like today, you got all these rappers, athletes, actors, actresses, so-called entertainers, so-called, superstars, what have you. They've all made a covenant with the heathen so they could be comfortable in Babylon, man. Okay? And what? That covenant is going to be disannulled, man. But, a good example, a real good example, the Buffalo Soldiers, I think during the 1800s, you had a group of Southern Kingdom Jakes, man, that were hired in the Esau's military to go, go get head counts on Gadites, man. All right, in the Northern Kingdom, okay. During the so-called Indian Wars, okay, and they were promised certain rewards and incentives and benefits for gathering up, our brothers. But afterward, after that, they did Esau's bidding. Guess what? Okay, Esau put their ass right back on the plantation to go work again. See, and they didn't get the benefits. All right. So it's the same thing, man. It's nothing new under the sun. These Edomites, they crept up with their smooth speeches. Their smooth devices, smooth, deceitful words, and what happened, man? They got played. Okay. But and our people never go into the Esau's track record, man. Bunch of coon ass Jake, bunch of I love massive Jakes, man, but never go into the never try to dig into the track record in it. And the thing is, it wasn't that long ago, But hey, let's continue back in the Maccabees. First Maccabees. Because Esau has a long track record, man. Which is why I wanted to draw this out, to edify on his track record, man, because it goes way back, all right? It says, I'm going to read 11 again. It says, in those days went there out of Israel wicked men who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us. For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow. So this device pleased them well. Then certain of the people who were forward herein thought that they went to the king, who gave them license to do after the ordinances of the heathen. See? Okay. A license is like a permit or a grant, to own or use something or to do something in particular. Okay. They had got the permission from Esau to do certain things that otherwise, if they hadn't, they probably wouldn't have access to such things, But it says, verse 14, whereupon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem according to the customs of the heathen. Right. Right, man. They 1 second. So real quick, I'm gonna jump into the Josephus. It's like I'm gonna read verse 15. It says, and they made themselves uncircumcised and forsook the holy covenant and joined themselves to the heathen and were sold to do mischief. All right. Wow, man. But this is continuing the Josephus. It's Salaki Bros. I got it off screen. I got it written down. It might take me a minute to find it. Oh, well, you know what? Here we go. Let me start at verse 239, or Salakia, line 239. It says, "This Joshua changed his name to Jason, while Onias took the name Menelaus. When the former high priest Joshua rebelled against Menelaus, who was appointed after him, the people were divided between them. The sons of Tobias took the side of Menelaus, while the majority of the people sided with Jason. And so Menelaus and the sons of Tobias came under pressure and went to Antiochus to say that they wanted to abandon their ancestral laws and the lifestyle that went with them, in order to follow the king's laws and the Greek lifestyle." See, it's a logic, man. And they asked his permission to build a gymnasium at Jerusalem. Okay, when he allowed it, they also hid the circumcision of their it says genitals, so that even when naked they might appear to be Greeks. And they abandoned all their ancestral customs and imitated the practices of other nations. All right. So, man, Jake, got permission to build a gymnasium, man. And, a gymnasium from the word gymnos in the Greek, all right, meaning naked. So they were basically up in there working out, wrestling naked, man. And they had done certain procedures to make it look as if, their rods were uncircumcised. Okay. Basically trimming their ways to seek love, man. Like the scriptures say, why trimmest thou thy ways to seek love? They were imitating the practices of the heathen, and, this is a part of that, huge part of our heritage being taken away, right? Because, all our other captivities, we at least knew we were Israelites, all right? And it was still cool for us to practice, our sacrifices, all right? But we were still paying tributes, and and we were still getting our asses whipped. But when the Greeks came in power, a lot changed, man. Like, Nebuchadnezzar, he tried to make it where our people bow down, all right? And you had certain instances, okay, in various captivities, all right? But when the Edomites came into power, man, it's a whole different, you know what I'm saying? Because it's the Edomites, man, the borderline of wickedness, man, and nobody was as hard on us as the Edomites, man. That's why Esau. That's why you call it the Apocrypha, man. The books that Esau took out. Apocrypha meaning sent away, hidden, because it exposes everything. A lot of things that he's done. Okay. During this time, the Hellenization period. All right. And this info in the Maccabees is a key piece to who Paul was talking about in the New Testament. All right, the Gentiles. All right, where it says there is no Jew nor Greek. And the Edomites, they did a lot during this whole period of time, man, to to strip us of our identity, our heritage, okay, which was prophecy, but back in the ninth, First Maccabees, the first chapter, ninth verse, where it says they all put crowns upon their heads, talking about Alexander's generals. Okay, so did their sons after them many years. Evil was multiplied in the earth. Okay, so it talks about many years, man. So it happened over an expanse of time. Okay, and over time, our people forgot who they were. Okay, that's why they began to call themselves Greeks. Same thing today. Mexican, Puerto Rican, okay, Dominican, Haitian, black, all those are misnomers, man. All right. But they're following after the ways of Esau in America, and it's the same thing going on here. Okay. But let's go back. This is verse 16. Now, when the kingdom was established before Antiochus, he thought to reign over Egypt, that he might have dominion of 2 realms. Wherefore he entered into Egypt with a great multitude, with chariots and elephants and horsemen, and a great navy, and made war against Ptolemy, the king of Egypt. But Ptolemy was afraid of him and fled, and many were wounded to death. Verse 19, thus they got the strong cities in the land of Egypt, and he took the spoils thereof. Okay, and after that Antiochus had smitten Egypt, he returned again in the 143rd year, and went up against Israel and Jerusalem with a great multitude, and entered proudly into the sanctuary, and took away the golden altar, and the candlestick of light, and the vessels, and all the vessels thereof. See? And this is like 170 BC, all right, 4 years after Antiochus began to rule, all right? It says, verse 22, and the table of the showbread, and the pouring vessels, and the vials, and the censers of gold, and the veil, and the crown, and the golden ornaments that were before the temple, all which he pulled off. And he took also the silver and gold, and the precious vessels, and he took the hidden treasures which he found. And when he had taken all away, he went into his own land, having made a great massacre, and spoken very proudly. So, man, Antiochus, he was building up his army, man. He was building up, building up confidence, all these things, trying to rule. And there's where we just, you see that's like, this is the Most High's algorithm here, This is how it all kind of tied into play, This is where we as a nation came into play, because the whole history of the Bible is what's going on with our people, all right, throughout these different captivities, these different rulerships, you see, And the reason why Antiochus went to Jerusalem was prophecy, man, And he tried to take Alexandria, Egypt, okay, and those different strongholds in Egypt. And, Rome prevented him, all right? But, it was prophecy, all right, that he was able to come in and do what he did, all right? But, it says, verse 24, when he had taken all away, he went into his own land, having made a great massacre, and spoken very proudly. And it's nothing new under the sun, man. Like you can relate everything that went on in the past, okay, and related to today, all right? The same things, the same things these rulers are doing, the same things that you see, the Edomites of today, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, these wealthy bankers, all right? Verse 25, therefore there was a great mourning in Israel and every place where they were, so that the princes and elders mourned, the virgins and young men were made feeble, and the beauty of women was changed, all right? And it came to the point to where they were ready to give up, man. You know, every bridegroom took up lamentation, and she that sat in the marriage chamber was in heaviness, right? And it shows you that this is ultimately gonna happen again. You know, when they try to spoil the temple, you know, Esau is gonna try to do the same thing, but now that it's spiritual, all right, you know, you know, we don't have a physical temple, all right. So what? They're gonna be trying to come after us, all right. They're gonna be trying to kill us, man. You know. This is Second Ezra 16 and 70 off the screen. For there shall be at every place and in the next cities a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord. See, and they shall be like madmen, sparing none, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord. And insurrection is a rising up. You know, for they shall waste and take away their goods and cast them out of their houses. Then shall they be known who are my chosen, and they shall be tried as the gold in the fire. Okay? You know, it's going to be people trying to raise up against us, you know, and blame us in these coming days. Okay? You know, but we gotta still, you know, stay prayed up, you know, keep our head on the swivel, you know, fast and do everything we can to prepare now. All right. You know, by, you know, really giving diligence and staying in this word and you know, doing the work. All right. It says, then shall it be known who are my chosen. Okay, and the men that are going to be protected in that that day are the men that make it through that. All right. The elect. All right. The Lord's elect. Okay, are going to be straight, man. You know. However it flips. But let's go back. Let's read that again. It says, every bridegroom took up lamentation, and she that sat in the marriage chamber was in heaviness. The land also was moved for the inhabitants thereof, and all the house of Jacob was covered with confusion. And notice how it talks about the women, man. So, you know, the women gonna get judged in this time, man. You know, it just goes to show that, you know, the women gonna get judged. All right. It says, the land was also moved for the inhabitants thereof, and all the house of Jacob was covered with confusion. And after 2 years fully expired, the king sent his chief collector of tribute unto the cities of Judah, who came unto Jerusalem with a great multitude. All right. And it says, and spake peaceable words unto them, but all was deceit. There it is, man. Esau, you know, by use of deceit and treachery. All right. Try to tell Jake, man, you know. Try to tell Jake, man. But it says, and he spake peaceable words unto them, but all was deceit. A recurrent theme with Esau, Edom. All right. For when they had given him credence, he fell suddenly upon the city and smote it very sore. What does credence mean? It's from the Edom Online. Slovakia. I just want to look that up. There's a credence in the online etymology dictionary. Belief, trust in facts derived from other than personal knowledge. That which gives a claim to belief. All right. Trust. Okay. Never trust thine enemy. See? Man, For when they had given him credence, he suddenly fell upon the city and smote it very sore and destroyed many people of Israel, man. All right. You can read about that. Let me see. It's a lot. This is Daniel 8:25. And through his policy also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. See? Man. Hey, but who shall pity the charmer that is bit with a serpent, man? When you trust in this devil, man, like as the scripture said, you know, like as iron rusts, so doth his wickedness, man. You know. But it says, and when he had taken the spoils of the city, he set it on fire and pulled down the houses and walls thereof on every side. Man. It says, but the women and children took they captive and possessed the cattle. You know, it just goes to show how, you know, Esau, you know, he crept in like the damn snake he is, man. Okay? Put everybody to sleep. And then what? Bit him. You know? Our people trusted in him. Then right after they realized what they were doing, what his rust was showing. Okay? He did the same thing back then with the, you know, the Gadites. Okay? In the northern kingdom. Okay? With those buffalo soldiers. All right? Let's get this in Psalm real quick. Psalm 55:20. It says, he hath put forth his hands against such as be at peace with him. He hath broken his covenant. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords. See? So he'll let you think that he's at peace with you. You know, he'll let you think, you know, it's all good. All right? But then, you know, when you think everything is cool, you ain't suspect nothing of this man. That's when he moves on you. Just like this. He is what he is, man. The serpent. All right? The deceiver, man. And his deceit and treachery, man, is a sucker punch. All right? But, let's go back. First Maccabees 1:31. And when he had taken the spoils of the city, he set it on fire and pulled down the houses and the walls thereof on every side. Another precept. It's First Thessalonians 5:3. It says, for when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. You see? But when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. All right? Go back, verse 32. But the women and children took they captive and possessed the cattle. Then builded they the city of David with a great and strong wall, and with mighty towers, and made it a stronghold for them. Okay, so they put themselves, you know, they took the city of David and made it their stronghold, man. Okay, verse 34, and put therein a sinful nation, wicked men, and fortified themselves therein. So they put themselves up in there. All right, that's Esau. All right, a sinful nation, sinful and wicked, man. Okay, verse It's just like you had the original Greeks, which are Japhites, all right, which were dark skinned people inhabiting that landmass, all right. What they had moved themselves, it's like they had moved them out and put themselves in, all right. um Verse 35, it says, and they stored it also with armor and victuals, and when they had gathered together the spoils of Jerusalem, they laid them up there, and so they became a sore snare, for it was a place to lie in wait against the sanctuary, and an evil adversary to Israel. Thus they shed innocent blood on every side of the sanctuary and defiled it, insomuch that the inhabitants of Jerusalem fled because of them, whereupon the city was made a habitation of strangers and became strange to those that were born in her, and her own children left her. Her sanctuary was laid waste like a wilderness. Her feasts were turned into mourning, her Sabbaths into reproach, her honor into contempt. All right. As had been her glory, so was her dishonor increased, and her excellency was turned into mourning. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people. And that's what they're trying to do in this time, trying to get everybody to fall in line with this devil and his agenda, man. And back then, the Tower of Babel was the same thing. All right. Verse 43. Yeah. Oh, Salak. Verse 42. And everyone shall leave his laws, and so all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king. Yeah. Many also the Israelites consented to his religion and sacrificed unto idols and profaned the Sabbath. So again, there goes your sellout Jakes, man. For the king has sent letters by messengers unto Jerusalem and the cities of Judah, that they shall all follow the strange laws of the land, and forbid burnt offerings and sacrifice and drink offerings in the temple, that they should profane the Sabbaths and festival days. So they made us go off by following their made up laws, and then they forbid us to repent, man. It says, and forbid burnt offerings and sacrifice and drink offerings in the temple, that they should profane the Sabbaths and the festival days. And no other nation did that to us, man. So, this thing was happening over an expanse of time. Okay, and after the time, our people, their children, didn't know that they were Israelites, man. They didn't know about sacrifice. Okay, those that made the covenant with the heathen, you think they knew that this would happen? Esau didn't let them know that. Esau didn't let them know he was going to do all this. Okay, and more than likely, he offered them money and various incentives and promises, and told them that they were going to be all good. All right, and pollute the sanctuary and holy people. Set up altars and groves and chapels of idols, and sacrifice swine's flesh and unclean beasts. Wicked, man. That they should also leave their children uncircumcised and make their souls abominable with all manner of uncleanness and profanation. Okay. Where it says they set up altars and groves and chapels of idols and sacrifice swine's flesh and unclean beasts. They do the same thing today in these churches, man. And all this stuff, they beat into us. All right. It says that they should also leave their children uncircumcised and make their souls abominable with all manner of uncleanness and profanation, to the end that they might forget the law and change the ordinances. Okay, and that was the whole MO. That was the whole goal of Esau, Edom. And no other nation made us forget our laws, man. No, at least others allowed us to keep the Sabbaths. We just had to pay tribute, all right? But this devil, man, this devil, he try to completely take us out, man. And nobody else was stressing us like that, all right? To where they wanted to completely root us up out the earth, man. And that's why it's prophesied that they're going to be exterminated, man. After that, they go into slavery because they've had no mercies. And they ain't going to receive the same. All right. All right. But verse 50 says, and whosoever would not do according to the commandment of the king, he said that he should die. All right. So there it is, man. And like the point was made earlier, all right, the whole NWO concept, that's not new to Esau, Edom, man, all right? Because it goes to show that he was at this kind of thing some years ago, man, all right? Let's read it again. And whosoever will not do according to the commandment of the king, he said that he should die, all right? In the self-same manner, wrote he to his whole kingdom and appointed overseers over all the people, commanding the cities of Judah to sacrifice city by city. Another point, just like in this time, and that policy is getting ready to make a comeback once that the RFID chip is mandated, man. If you don't conform to the ways of Esau, if you don't conform to the image of the beast, you will be put to death. You're all right. It says, in the selfsame manner wrote he to his whole kingdom and appointed overseers over all the people, commanding the cities of Judah to sacrifice city by city. All right. So they was going throughout each city, pretty much, trying to coerce our people into sacrificing abomination, man. All right. And you had a lot of our people that were folding under pressure. The same way it's getting ready to happen again. All right. All over again. All right. Verse 52. And many of the people were gathered unto them, to wit, everyone that forsook the law. And so they committed evils in the land. Okay. And drove the Israelites into secret places, and wheresoever they could flee for succor. All right. Some of those Israelites had fled, all right, into various other places, where they could get help and flee from the persecution. All right. Now, the 15th day of the month, Caslu, in the 145th year, they set up the abomination of desolation upon the altar and builded idol altars throughout the cities of Judah on every side, and built and burnt incense at the doors of their houses and in the streets. And when they had rent in pieces the book of the law which they found, they burned them in fire. And what that sound like? The scriptures talk about a famine of the word. All right. So what would be the equivalent of that in this time, where you have, the apostles and elders and brothers on down that have been able to use the YouTube platform to push this word, man. All right. Well, guess what they finna do in this time? All right. They're getting ready to, shut down the YouTube, which they're trying to do now, man. They're gonna try to take us off the internet. All right. You know what I'm saying? It says when they had rent in pieces the books of the law, which they found, they burnt them with fire. All right. So if you called yourself, reading the scriptures and trying to follow the law, statutes, and commandments, you were out of there, and they're finna do the same thing again. All right. So, and whosoever, this is the point, and whosoever was found with any of the book of the testament, or if any had committed to the law, and the king's commandment was that they should put him to death. All right. Thus did they, by their authority unto the Israelites every month, to as many as were found in the cities. Now, on the 25th day of the month, they did sacrifice upon the idol altar, which was Salakia, which was upon the altar of the Most High. Okay, at that time, according to the commandment, they put to death certain women that had caused the children to be circumcised. All right, they had set up idol altars in the temple and commanded them to sacrifice every month, man. All right, and at which time, I was like, at which time, according to the commandment, they put to death certain women that had caused their children to be circumcised. Okay, so women that was willing to die, all right, for the law. Okay, shit, man, that's a talk about a drastic change, man, and seeing our women today, drastic change. Okay. Hey, because back then, at least you had women standing up for their children, man, and actually giving up their lives, just, giving up their lives for their children. Today, you got women that, who knows how many times, these women run into the abortion clinic. They're killing their kids willfully. All right. Verse 61, and they hanged the infants about their necks and rifled their houses and slew them that had circumcised them. Howbeit many in Israel were fully resolved and confirmed in themselves not to eat any unclean thing. So Israelites is like, nah, we cool, man. All right. We ain't finna eat no pork. We ain't finna eat no swine. We ain't finna eat no rat or whatever the hell they was trying to get us to offer up. All right. They were confirmed, meaning they was they had made it up in their mind that they wasn't going to get down with it. All right. First Maccabees 1:63. Wherefore they chose rather to die, that they might not be defiled with meats, and that they might not profane the holy covenant. So then they died. Okay, and there was a great wrath upon Israel. All right. So that's what they're gonna be doing in this time, man. They're gonna be seeking brothers out that ain't take the chip. All right, they're speaking out against this thing. Against all the wickedness that Esau is committing. But and they're gonna be trying to use our people as examples. That, hey, like the elder said, man, don't be surprised if they use your family. They try to get to you by using your family. All right. You just gotta remember what Yahushua said, man. Verse 64, and there was a great wrath upon Israel. Our people were being put to death. But they chose rather to go out, all right, rather than to defile themselves with pork and abominable foods, all right. To transgress the law, okay. This is second chapter, all right, from the top. It says, in those days arose Mattathias, the son of John, the son of Simeon, a priest of the sons of Jorib from Jerusalem, and dwelt in Modin. And he had 5 sons. Jonan, called Cadiz. All right. Simon, called Dasi. Judas, called Maccabeus. Eleazar, called Avarin. And Jonathan, whose surname was Aphis. Or Aphis. All right. And when he saw the blasphemies that were committed in Jerusalem, in Judah and Jerusalem, he said, "Woe is me! Wherefore was I born to see the misery of my people and of the holy city, and to dwell there, when it was delivered into the hand of the enemy, and the sanctuary into the hand of strangers? Her temple has become as a man without glory. Her glorious vessels are carried away into captivity. Her infants are slain in the streets, her young men with the sword of the enemy. What nation hath not had a part in her kingdom and gotten of her spoils? All her ornaments are taken away. Of a free woman she has become a bondslave. And behold, our sanctuary, even our beauty and our glory, is laid waste, and the Gentiles have profaned it. To what end, therefore, shall we live any longer?" All right. This was that whole Hellenization period, okay, of our people, man. Being that they were given an ultimatum to either give up their customs or die, okay, and this was a heavy portion in the history of our nation because it led to fulfill Jeremiah 17:4, that we would be discontinued from our heritage. And, again, because in all the other captivities, we knew who we were. Okay, we just had to pay tribute. We were still in hardcore bondage, so to speak. But nevertheless, we still knew that we were Israelites. All right, and this was that captivity that actually did it, man. And we still see the effect of what Alexander did, and men like Ptolemaius and what Antiochus did, and what their sons did. All right. Example, like we covered in a previous lesson, that that whole concept of Jesus Christos, going back to Ptolemaius II, was set up by his father Ptolemaius the First Soter as Serapis Christos, to be worshipped by our people as God, man. You see, our people still burning candles, and especially amongst the Northern Kingdom, man. That's Northern Kingdom heavy on that damn Cesare Borgia. Damn. But it says, "To what end, therefore, shall we live any longer?" It says, verse 13, "To what end, therefore, shall we live any longer?" Right? Because you got to imagine how hard, it was to be an Israelite at that time. And, we were camped about on every side, and they took everything from us, okay, and led us into captivity. All right. Let's get this in Daniel 12. It's like Daniel 9 and verse 12. It says, start at 11. It says, "Yeah, all Israel transgressed thy law, even by departing, that they might not obey thy voice. Therefore the curse is poured upon us, and the oath that it was written in the law of Moses, the servant of the Most High, because we have sinned against him." All right. "And he hath confirmed his words which he spake against us and against our judges, that judged us, by bringing upon us a great evil. For under the whole heaven hath not been done as hath been done upon Jerusalem." Okay. And yeah, man, that was prophecy, man. The Lord said he would remove us from off the land, and that he would do this, right? And the Heavenly Father, man, he is a man of his word, okay? And, to this day, we're still suffering, the worst captivity we've ever been in. All right. Because we transgressed against him. Okay. And so these things fell upon us. But going back, it's like, where was I at? It says, then Mattathias and his sons rent their clothes and put on sackcloth and mourned very sore. In the meanwhile, the king's officers, such as compelled the people to revolt, came into the city of Modin to make them sacrifice. All right. It says, and when many of Israel came unto them, Mattathias also and his sons came together. Then answered the king's officers and said unto Mattathias on this wise, thou art a ruler and an honorable and great man in this city, and strengthened with sons and brethren. Now therefore come thou first and fulfill the king's commandment, like as all the heathen have done, yea, and the men of Judah also, and such as remain at Jerusalem. So shalt thou and thy house be in the number of the king's friends, and thou and thy children shall be honored with silver and gold and many rewards. See, so that's a word tactic. That's a word tactic of Esau right there, man. Go after the most honorable men amongst the people. All right, the elders and the strongest men out of the people, man, and try to try to kill them or castrate them or whatever. All right, to weaken the morale of the rest of the people. All right. In this case, they sought out Mattathias because what he was honored amongst our people, man. All right. It says it says, and thou and thy children shall be honored with silver and gold and great rewards. All right. So they was trying to get him to sell out, offer them incentives and promises, just sacrifice. All right. And this is the thing they had done, like I said, month to month. All right. They would come to your city, wherever you were, okay, and make you sacrifice upon the altar. All right, whatever they would give you to sacrifice. It could have been anything from swine, obviously, pig, all right, but rat, anything unlawful, anything forbidden for us to eat, okay, and you had to do it according to the laws and their customs, all right, that they made up, all right. You had to do it right then and there, or else you would get killed. Okay, just like during the time of the Babylonian Empire, when that music played and you had to bow down before that statue, Nebuchadnezzar. It just goes to show again, man, that there's nothing new under the sun. All right, but they came to Mattathias trying to get him to sacrifice. Okay, that he might persuade the rest of our people into doing so. Okay, seeing that he was an honorable man amongst our people. All right, and they figured by speaking unto him peaceably, they compel him to sacrifice, and the rest of our people will follow suit, man. And this was the king's these were the king's officers. They had a task by order of the king to force our people to sacrifice. Okay, and they were ready to get slaughtering if it weren't done. We're reading on. Verse 18, now therefore come thou first and fulfill the king's commandment, like as all the heathen have done, yea, and the men of Judah also, and such as remain at Jerusalem, so shalt thou and thy house be in the number of the king's friends, and thou and thy children shall be honored with silver and gold and many rewards. All right. So again, they try to offer him gold and many rewards, and what else? A seat with Antiochus, right? Which, some wicked men of Israel coveted after, all right? Good standing with the king, okay? As we read earlier, when Ptolemy was in rule, you had our people willingly giving up, thinking that they'd have some, by doing so, okay, they'd have some good report or good reputation amongst the king, all right? Only to find out what, that they eventually get played, all right? And, Slakia. So again, they chose out Mattathias, all right, to try and coerce, all right, that he might sacrifice and persuade our people to do the same, all right. Just like you had in that movie 300, all right, when Xerxes tried to get Leonidas to bow the knee, but Leonidas didn't go for it, all right. But he chose rather to fight unto death at Thermopylae, the hot gates, he and his men, all right? But let's just find out what Mattathias says. Verse 19, then Mattathias answered and spake with a loud voice, though all the nations that are under the king's commandment or dominion obey him, and fall away every one from his religion of their fathers, and give consent unto his commandments, yet will I and my sons and my brethren walk in the covenant of our fathers. See? It says, God forbid that we should forsake the law and the ordinances, and we will not hearken to the king's words to go from our religion, either on the right hand or on the left. All right? Just like Joshua said, but as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. Just like you got men today standing up in the spirit, man. Hey, Mattathias is pretty much saying the same thing. All right, choosing rather to fear the Lord, all right, than to go off, man, and transgress and turn aside from the ordinances, man, of our forefathers, all right, the covenant of our forefathers, all right. Verse 23. Now, when he had left speaking these things, these words, there came one of the Jews in the sight of all to sacrifice on the altar, which was at Modin, according to the king's commandment. So there goes some fucking slackies, some wicked ass Jake, man. Right after Mattathias just spoke, okay, and everybody was listening, man, because Mattathias is an honorable man amongst our people. But as soon as he was getting ready to leave, all right, as soon as he turns his back, he has some wicked Jake, going up, running up to the altar to slap some abomination, all right. And what happened? Mattathias caught his ass in the act, all right. And what we read on, it says, verse 24, which thing when Mattathias saw, he was inflamed with zeal, and his reins trembled, neither could he forbear to show his anger according to judgment, wherefore he ran and slew him upon the altar. Neither could he forbear to show his judgment. All right, so he couldn't hold it back. All right, that was the spirit that came upon Mattathias. All right. Wherefore he ran and slew him upon the altar. It was the Lord that put that spirit on Mattathias to do that, because he was ultimately following the law, and he was the priest. All right. Verse 25. Also the king's commissioner who compelled men to sacrifice, he killed at that time, and the altar he pulled down. All right. So he put them wicked ass officers to death, man. And tore that altar down. All right. It says, thus dealt he zealously for the law of the Most High, like as Phinehas did unto Zambri, the son of Salem. All right. And Mattathias cried throughout the city with a loud voice, saying, "Whosoever is zealous of the law and maintaining the covenant, let him follow me." So he and his sons fled into the mountains and left all that they ever had in the city. So I'm going to jump into the second. Salakia. I'm going to jump into the second book. Because this ties in with the point, all right? This is in the second Maccabees, all right? The 5th chapter. It says, "Now when this thing that was done came into the king's ear, he thought that Judea had revolted, whereupon, removing out of Egypt in a furious mind, he took the city by force of arms, and commanded his men of war not to spare such as they meant, and to slay such as went up upon the houses." Okay, thus there was a killing of young and old, making away of men, women, and children, slaying of virgins and infants. All right, and there were destroyed within the space of 3 whole days 80,000, whereof 40,000 were slain in the conflict, and no fewer sold than slain. All right. Yet was he not content with this, but presumed to go into the most holy temple of all the world, Menelaus, that traitor to the laws and to his own country, being his guide. So there goes another sellout, man. You know, I believe this was Antiochus. Yeah. All right. Led Antiochus to the temple. Thus Antiochus made a sore slaughter upon the people, man. All right. And carried away the holy vessels, man. No, in verse 17, "And so haughty was Antiochus in mind that he considered not that the Lord was angry for a while for the sins of them that dwelt in the city." Hence the point, man, that, it was according to prophecy, and this devil being so, puffed up, as is a quality trait of Esau, man, to be, puffed up in the mind after doing some wicked shit like this, okay? They didn't consider that it was of the will of the Lord to let this man, to use this man, all right, to come in and do this thing, all right? Let's read it again. And so haughty was Antiochus in mind that he considered not that the Lord was angry for a while for the sins of them that dwelt in the city, and therefore his eye was not upon the place. For had not been formerly wrapped in many sins, this man, as soon as he had come, had forthwith been scourged and put back from his presumption, as Heliodorus was, whom Seleucus the king sent to view the treasury. Let's see. I jumped down to verse 21. "So when Antiochus had carried out of the temple 1,800 talents, he departed in all haste unto Antiochus, weaning in his pride to make the land navigable and the sea passable by foot. Such was the haughtiness of his mind." And Antiochus was talking all kinds of shit, man. Priding himself over the murder and robbery and theft, all right, against our people, all right. And he was he was probably talking shit against the Heavenly Father, man, all right. And he left governors to vex the nation at Jerusalem, Philip for his country, a Phrygian, and for manners more barbarous than he's that sent him there. All right. So you place his men up in there, man, to vex us even more. All right. after the fact he had done all that he had done. Okay? It says in that garrison, in Andronicus, and besides Menelaus, who worse than all the rest, bear a heavy hand over the citizens, having a malicious mind against his countrymen, the Jews. Okay? And he sent also that detestable ringleader Apollonius with an army of 220,000, commanding him to slay all those that were at their best age, that were in their best age, and to sell the women of the youngest sort. Okay? It says, commanding him to slay all those that were in their best age. So these must have been, young men, but, capable of war. All right. Reading on, who come into Jerusalem and pretending peace did forbear till the holy day. Did forbear to the holy day of the Sabbath, when taking the Jews, keeping the holy day, he commanded his men to arm themselves. And so he slew all them that were gone to the celebrating of the Sabbath, and running through the city with weapons, and slew great multitudes. So this, man, that used to that deceit and treachery. There it is again, man. There it is again. All right. Who coming into Jerusalem and pretending peace did forbear to the holy day of the Sabbath. Okay. When taking the Jews, keeping the holy day, he commanded his men to arm themselves. All right. So there he is, man, with that whole, Ptolemaious gimmick, came up in there on the Sabbath day and made war against our people, man. All right. And, that's it's written, this happened, it's written in the second chapter. I wasn't able to get it, but, Lord's willing to probably, kind of expound on a few things in another lesson. But, I just wanted to briefly get into a few things, because it shows you how Esau was getting down with our people back then. And again, this is part of that whole track record that Esau has against our people. All right. And it's all for the sake of edification, But it says, but Judas Maccabeus with none others or thereabout withdrew himself into the wilderness and lived in the mountains, after the manner of beasts of this company, who fed on herbs continually, lest they should be partakers of the pollution. All right, so from there, I think I'm going to just grab this last thing, and I'm going to close out, because I mentioned to keep in mind Bacchus. Okay, Bacchus being Dionysus. Okay, and we got in 3rd Maccabees how Ptolemaius, he was branding our people with the ivy leaf symbol of Dionysus. Okay, and that brand was pretty much an admission into his system that he has set up in that time. All right, but watch this. Now this is 2nd Maccabees 6 and 7. Well, let's go up. All right. I believe this is Ptolemaius, or one of the Ptolemies. This is 2nd Maccabees 6 and 1. Not long after this, the king sent an old man of Athens to compel the Jews to depart from the laws of their fathers, and not to live after the laws of the Most High. All right. And to pollute also the temple in Jerusalem, and to call it the temple of Jupiter Olympius. Okay. Which Jupiter, if I'm not mistaken, one second. So like